Presented by the Strong Blue Line Foundation and powered by Moose Ridge Coffee in Snake River Landing, Idaho Falls. Welcome to the podcast where former San Antonio police officer, author, and pastor Tim Rupp walks you through real-life scenarios involving our police officers and digs into the depths of facts and opinions on each case. This is Cop Talk, and it starts now.
Hi, and welcome to Cop Talk, the radio show and podcast of the Strong Blue Line. I'm Tim Rupp, and joining me is my friend and the operations manager of the Rev.FM, Mr. Gary Austin. Hello, Gary.
Hey, Tim Rupp.
Happy middle of July.
Yes,
July 15th, man. My oldest daughter's birthday was yesterday.
Very cool.
36-year-old daughter, man. Yeah, 36-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just makes you younger.
I tell you what, man, it's crazy. Crazy. Hey, you know, finally we're getting some nice warm weather, I'll say.
Yes, we
Man, you
do.
know, it's been hot across the country, especially early July.
Yeah.
With all that heat
really
coming through and stuff. And whether, you know, and the disaster down in Venezuela. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if they've got that count. It's going to be a while before they have this whole count.
Yeah.
Devastating.
There's still a lot of people missing.
Yeah. Anyways, we're going to talk about incels again.
Oh, okay,
incels.
great.
Well, what's that? We'll talk about it. Sounds like something you put in a battery or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, incels. We will talk about that in a minute. But before we do, we're going to honor the officers who've been killed in the line of duty on this date in history. And Gary, I have Deputy Sheriff Gilbert Birchfield, and he's from the Saline County Sheriff's Office in Arkansas. And it have watched Thursday, July 15th, 1847.
Ooh.
That was quite a while ago.
Yeah, it sure was.
1847. Deputy Birchfield was shot and killed while attempting to serve a warrant on a wanted man. Some things never change. The subject opened fire on his posse, killing Birchfield and a special deputy. Now, the special deputy is probably somebody who was deputized that day on the posse. It's like, I got to go arrest this guy. You're coming with me.
Right.
Raise your right hand. Take your badge and let's go.
That's
one of them
done.
deals. But Deputy Birchfield, 35 years old, was survived by his wife and 4 children. That's the only information we have on him.
Huh. Yeah, very short.
Yeah, before the West was wild.
That's right. Yeah, good old 1847.
Yeah. What do you have there, Gary?
This is a Escambia County Sheriff's Office out of Florida. End of watch, July 15th, 2025.
So just a year ago, 1 year ago.
A year ago. So this is Deputy Casati and other deputies responded to a domestic call in Pensacola. And when they entered the home, a subject was holding a screaming female hostage and using her as a shield. The subject shot 3 deputies before he was struck once in the hand, and so he retreated into the bathroom. SWAT members were able to convince the shooter to surrender. 3 deputies and the female hostage survived their gunshot wounds. Deputy Cassidy was in critical condition for 20 days. After losing both kidneys and receiving a kidney transplant, Deputy Cassidy suffered from multiple medical issues. On July 15th, 2025, he passed away from medical conditions he developed due to his gunshot wounds. The suspect, who was the former boyfriend of the female he took hostage, was convicted of 4 counts of attempted murder, 2 counts of aggravated assault, armed kidnapping, and trespassing, and was sentenced to 4 life terms. Deputy Cassidy, 50, had served with the Escambia County Sheriff's Office for 6 years. Survived by his wife, mother, 3 sisters, and 2 nieces.
You know, and Gary, this happened in October of 2010 is when the shooting took place.
Oh, yeah.
So
that's right. Wow.
He lived for 15 years. So he was shot when he was 35 years old.
Yeah, he sure was.
And he lived because you think, well, he died at 50. Well, he's only been on 6 years. He became a deputy at age 29. 28 or 29 with this agency. I don't know if he was a previous law enforcement before then. But then for 15 years, he had medical issues and finally succumbed to his wounds 15 years later. So
that's a long time to live with.
It seems like justice was served here, because he would have been convicted not of murdering the deputy, because the deputy had not died.
Yeah.
But now he has died. But 4 life terms. I'm thinking he's probably going to be in prison for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Terrible though.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it sure is.
Anyways, so we like to honor officers who were killed in the line of duty on this date in history. So there are 2 officers. And Gary, this comes out of Montreal, Canada, the story, which it caught my eye. I think it was on policeone.com, and it caught my eye. And it comes out of Montreal, Canada. I'm just going to read a little bit about it. Police responded to a hotel in Montreal on June 22nd, so just last month, after a caller reported seeing a person pointing a gun from an upstairs window. This is out of a hotel, this large hotel. As officers arrived, the suspect allegedly fired more than 24 shots, including at responding officers. Police Chief Dagger told the Associated Press that the officers returned fire, killing the suspect, while nearby residents were ordered to shelter in place for more than an hour. Law enforcement sources told CNN that it is believed that the shooting was a targeted attack on police, and that's what really got my interest. Okay, so it's a targeted attack on police. I started doing some more research about this, and it says that the police were working to examine a more than 100-page manifesto which was written by the gunman, and the document reportedly contains incel ideology. Why, you ask, Gary? What is incel ideology?
Yeah, what is that, Tim Rupp?
You remember from years ago. It's been 2 or 3 years ago we talked about incels.
Uh-huh.
And incel is short for involuntarily celibate. Involuntarily celibate. So, and some of the manifesto I looked up, and it says that the suspect in this case was Seth Scott Hatfield, 25 years old, from Lynchburg, Alberta. So he's from Alberta, which is just north of Idaho.
Yeah.
In Montreal, I think Montreal is further east, isn't it?
Yeah.
As I recall,
Yeah,
it's over
right.
towards
Ontario.
East. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's from Alberta though. So Alberta's kind of a country place, I think, from what I understand. That's
yeah,
kinda
me
like
too.
It's kind of like the Texas of Canada.
Yeah. Right.
From
Yeah,
what I
exactly.
hear,
They have lots of oil, and they do a lot of
and
lots
no
of
one
stuff
want
there.
to succeed or they're threatened to. I wonder how that's going. We talked about that.
Yeah, we did.
Anyways, this incel ideology, they are heavily misogynistic. That is, they have a disdain and a hate for women. They blame women, and they're and it says they also are upset about this hypergamy. Gary, you know what hypergamy is?
I don't.
Tim? You know what?
Do you?
I do now because
Okay.
I looked it up. Hypergamy, and I think we're both guilty of this, Gary. We're guilty of hypergamy.
Okay.
It is marrying up for a higher status. So,
yeah.
So, when Sherry said
did.
yes, I became a higher status. But what it really is, it's like, marrying somebody because marrying into money.
Yeah.
Or marrying into
Right.
social or things like that.
Uh-huh.
And so they're upset about this. So these incels, what they are, Gary, is it's guys that they are frustrated because they cannot engage in a romantic relationship with a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of them are, awkward socially.
Yeah.
You might say.
Good way to say it.
They said, they're kind of different. It's kind of the odd guy in school. You always had the guy that was odd, and you kind of that's who these people are grown up. And so what has contributed to this? Obviously, Gary, let's not forget this. They are responsible for their own actions.
Right.
Anybody is responsible for their own actions. When they do things, when they take criminal actions, they're responsible for it. Now, are there factors that could lead to this? Yes, there are. That does not excuse them of responsibility. I want to make that clear. But one of the things I started doing some research on this, and I started thinking about, where did this start? Where did we start getting these incels that would become violent and become this way in America? And I guess, Gary, I'd have to go back to the 1960s and 70s when we had the sexual revolution.
Mm-hmm.
And the sexual revolution, because young people wanted to be free to do what they wanted to do. And actually what that sexual revolution was actually freedom from God and God's authority.
Oh, yeah.
Freedom to do as you want, to engage in sexual promiscuity and not be married, to be or even be married, and instead of saving sex for the marriage, they're having it outside or in addition to, and so and there's a lot of negative things came out of that. In other words, in fact, I would venture to say there's nothing good that came out of that. But a lot of the bad stuff that came out of that was obviously unwanted pregnancies. And because of that, then you started having this abortion issue and things and all this. And we know Roe versus Wade was passed in 1973, and, the abortion bill and all that kind of stuff. Not only that, sexually transmitted diseases became rampant. And then you also had the breakup of marriages, breakup of relationships. So all of that stuff should have been foreseen, but was probably not foreseen in that was this deal with incels and incels becoming violent. And what surprised me about this, as this article talked about incels, that this guy was an incel that did this, and part of his manifesto said things like he blames women for things. He calls for the restricting of women's rights and returning them to more traditional gender roles. So he's pushing back against that feminism stuff and all that kind of stuff. But what incels want to do, they really want to dominate women.
Right.
They want to use them, and they feel like they're getting passed over. And what they refer to the people they don't like is as Chads or Stacys.
Yeah.
And Chads are the guys that are just kind of like, I guess we would call them the playboy type, going around and having all the women he wants or whatever. And then the Stacys were the ones that would go along with that, and you see all this stuff going on. But what does this have to do with the guy wanting to shoot people? This is where the violence has led to. And this article, as it references another article that was written a couple years ago, but it's been updated. It's been recently updated. And this also comes from Police One, The Violent Fringe of the Incel Movement. And it talks about what's going on, some of the things that I just mentioned with this, but it also talks about different shootings. And what surprised me in this, Gary, is I did not realize some of these shootings that you and I are familiar with were actually committed by incels.
Yeah, I didn't either.
And so it kind of surprised me. The first one mentions in 2014, and this was in Isla Vista near the University of California. A 22-year-old killed 6 people, including 2 women, injured 14 others near the University of California, Santa Barbara. He explained his predicament, and this is from the shooter, quote, "I've been forced to endure an existence of loneliness, rejection, and unfulfilled desires because girls have never been attracted to me." I think that kind of wraps it up, what the incels are feeling.
Me too.
And Gary, I don't know if you've ever experienced loneliness in your life. I know I have. I've experienced loneliness. I remember, as a kid, I was kind of I don't know. I'm the kind of kid that had like one good friend. Mm-hmm. I wasn't the one that had a whole bunch of different friends. Yeah. And when that friend went out and made other friends or something, I felt kind of like lonely.
Right.
It was it was feeling sorry for myself. I got to admit that it was, and I was socially awkward, if you would. I was not comfortable and social because I was insecure, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Right.
But you think about that. They endure an existence of loneliness, rejection, and unfulfilled desires. The problem here that I see from a pastor's point of view, Gary, is they're looking to the wrong places
Yes.
to fulfill these things.
I agree.
They need to look to Christ. He will not reject anyone. You know, he said, "I will never leave you nor forsake you." And when we seek God and let Him fulfill those things, and then we're able to go through. Now, do we still need human relationships? Absolutely, we do. You know, remember right after God made Adam, shortly thereafter, It said it's not good that man should be alone. He made us to be in relationship with other people, but that relationship is not built upon sex.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's
sexual
exactly
relationship is a great. It was God's idea.
Mm-hmm.
He had a good idea. Matter of fact, any ideas he has are all good.
Right.
But it's within the confines of marriage.
Yes.
And that's where you're going to have the most satisfaction. That's going to make two people one and bring them together.
Yes.
This killer at Iowa University said this, quote, "One day incels will realize their true strength and numbers and will overthrow this oppressive feminist system. Start envisioning a world where women fear you." And so here's the whole thing: is they are intimidated by women.
Yeah.
And they want women to fear them. I guess it's kind of like you ask a girl to go out and she says no, and now you blame her.
Exactly.
You know, for a year or so. Anyways, so that's one. The community college in Oregon in 2015, I referenced this a lot. Matter of fact, I wrote about this in my book, Winning a Gunfight, but I did not realize this guy was an incel. In his manifesto and other writings, he referenced his inability to have a girlfriend. He also had a disdain for organized religion, and I quote in my book when he did this, and he killed. How many people did he kill? He murdered 9 and wounded 8 others and killed himself. But some of those that he murdered, he asked the kids in the classroom, "Are you a Christian? If you are, stand up." And then he would shoot him.
And then he would shoot him, right.
And he would shoot him. So I mentioned that in my book. I did not know he was incel. And then you had the Aztec High School shooting in December of 2017 in Washington. I'm sorry, in New Mexico. 21-year-old shot and killed 2 students before killing himself. And he was an incel. And he says, "Work sucks, school sucks, life sucks." Well, you know, a lot of us think that, but we don't want to kill
That's right.
people.
Exactly.
Then the Parkland shooting in Florida. Remember this? This was a big one in 2018. I can't believe it's been that long already.
I know.
2018. 19-year-old killed 17 people and wounded 17 others at the Majority Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. He stated that the Isla Vista shooter would not be forgotten. Some incels now claim the Isla Vista, or claim this guy here, as we just have his initials, NC, as their hero. And then a Toronto attack in 2018. So this is another one in Canada. The 25-year-old shooter suspect purposely drove his rented van on the sidewalk in downtown Toronto. I remember that.
I do too.
I didn't realize he killed 8 women.
I didn't either.
And injured 2 men and killed 8 women and 2 men. Killed 10 people. And wounded. That's driving, Gary.
Yeah.
You know, and they're worried about outlawing guns. They outlaw trucks. Oh, brother. Anyways, he said that the incel rebellion has already begun. We will overthrow all the Chads and Stacys. And so that comes from that Toronto van attack. In November of 2018, 40-year-old shot and killed 2 women at hot yoga studio in Tallahassee, Florida, and injured 5 others. I want to get this, Gary. This guy was a veteran and former teacher with 2 graduate degrees.
Oh, my goodness.
So this wasn't, all of them up to this point, been kind of young guys, you know.
Yeah.
Young males, you know, 18 to 20, 25, and this guy's 40 years old. The shooter had a criminal record of harassing women and uploaded misogynist videos and articulated anti-black sentiments and compared himself to the Isla Vista shooter. This is the common thread, the Isla Vista shooter. You know, seems to be their hero.
Yeah.
Then in January of 2019, these are close calls. 27-year-old arrested in Provo, Utah, just down the road
Close
from
to
us.
home, yeah.
And he was on his way to attack a women's march event. Police found him by tracking him on a cell phone and his tips from Facebook. So people saw something and they reported it and they were able to stop it. The police were able to stop it. So and he said also that he's ready to die and all the girls had turned him down. My goodness. And then in July of 2021, so this is only 5 years ago, a federal incident, an unsealed federal indictment revealed a 21-year-old was foiled in his attempt to conduct a mass shooting on the campus of Ohio State University. Now, Gary, that upsets me that this is a sealed federal indictment, and we had to wait for it to get unsealed. I mean, how long did that wait? I'm not sure how long that was. Obviously, you don't want to do it right away, but why is this information not getting out there?
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right.
It says 21-year-old was foiled to conduct a mass shooting at the campus of Ohio State University. In his writings and online post, he referred to women as foids, short for feminoids, a dehumanizing term incels use to maintain a delusionary superiority over women. So that's what's going on with these incels. It's something that I think we can date it back. Obviously, like I said, these guys are responsible for their own actions. But when we as a society tell young men the way to be successful is to have success over women in your romantic relationships and to dominate women, and when that is their goal, and when they can't reach that goal and then they turn to violence, then again it goes, why do people turn to violence? I started reading not too long ago Dave Grossman's book. He gave it to me a few years ago, but I've been reading so much stuff. I finally opened it up and started reading it, but he's writing about school shootings and things. And he ties a lot of the violence into the video games which I agree with that, but I still say it's deeper than that. It's a hard issue. Yeah. It's a hard issue because not everybody that watches video games, matter of fact, the vast majority that indulge in video games never turn to shootings.
Right.
Not saying that that's good for you to do that. It does desensitize you. And some of them kids are thinking they're just watching a video game as they're killing people.
Right. I was going to say that was, I think, on the news, or I read about it somewhere where they were actually doing live killings. Yeah. In a video game because that was their reality.
And Dave he's testified before Congress on this and stuff. And so
that's right.
He was on a special board to the president when I think that's where the book came out of when he was on that. And so there is something to it. I have no doubt about that, because we train our combat veterans. We've talked about this before. We train our combat soldiers, I should say, and our police officers to be able to shoot. I mean, we have to train them to shoot a child.
Yeah.
They have a gun. I mean, that pushes it, not only to shoot somebody, to shoot a child who may be a threat. That's something that you have to learn to overcome to take action. But we're doing it with our children.
Right.
We're desensitizing them to actually shoot. And, when I grew up, I shooting BB guns and stuff, and we would shoot. My dad's dead and gone. So we were shooting each other, my brother and I. We shouldn't have been doing that. But that's a little bit different from being visualized and actually seeing all the blood and the guts and all that kind of stuff. There's a difference to that. So be careful what your kids are doing. These incels, look what guys are doing. Listen to what they're saying. If you see stuff online that's just suspicious, don't hesitate to report that.
Yeah.
If it turns out to be nothing, it's nothing. The police aren't going to come and say, "Oh, we got a tip and it's Gary Austin that turns you in."
Right.
They're not going to do that.
No.
They're going to investigate it, and if it's something, hey, you may have stopped a mass murder.
That's right.
So be careful. Be careful with your children. Guide them in the right direction. And Gary, look at the clock.
Man, it goes fast.
Yes, it does. Hey, thanks for listening in. You can catch Cop Talk on all the popular podcast platforms. If you have a topic or a question you want to address on Cop Talk, please send me an email. You can email suggestions, questions, comments, or complaints to coptalk@therev.fm. That's coptalk@therev.fm. Thought from the good book today. Flee from sexual immorality. Every other sin a person commits is outside the body, but the sexual immoral person sins against his own body. Thanks for joining us and helping to make the thin blue line a strong blue line.
Cop Talk is presented by the Strong Blue Line Foundation and sponsored by Moose Ridge Coffee in Snake River Landing, Idaho Falls. Questions and comments are always welcome by email to coptalk@therev.fm. Listen, follow, leave a review, and share this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or YouTube. And visit thestrongblueline.org to learn how you can be a supporter. Cop Talk is a Rev FM production, produced and edited by Gary Austin. Thank you for joining us on Cop Talk.